We all know that when driving, we can get more zoom if we shift the transmission to a lower gear. We call this downshifting. The motor spins faster, we get more power. Applying the downshift concept to starter motors became popular in the 1960s. Instead of having the starter motor mesh directly with the flywheel, a set of reduction gears were placed inside the starter. Let me show you. This is a starter from an early MGB. A shaft starts right here, goes the length of the motor. This is the motor right here. You see the shaft coming out right here and goes all the way to the end where it's pinned. It's one shaft. The windings are on here and this spins. So no matter how fast what's going on inside here is spinning, the outside spins at exactly the same speed. That's what she does. What they're looking for is a way to reduce that. So this is a gear reduction starter, and you're going to see this is the motor. It's small, but this is it. There's a shaft in here. We can't see it, but it goes in one end of the motor, comes out right about here, and stops right there in a gear inside. It does not go out and try to reach the flywheel the way this one does. Instead, the gear inside mates with another gear and another gear and another gear, and it's reducing the ratio. It's downshifting. And what comes out here is going to give us more strength. This is going to apply more torque and more power to the motor's flywheel. We get faster, easier starts. This arrangement is called a gear reduction starter. It's also called a high torque starter. Both names accurately describe these starters. High torque starters are often smaller and lighter than the old direct drive models they replace. Smaller, lighter, more torque, more power, easier starts. What's not to like? Let's talk about installation. The physical act of changing from an old school starter to a high torque starter is like changing a starter has always been. We're going to remove the wires, we're going to remove the bolts, we take it out, we pick the new one, put it in place, we bolt it up, connect the wires up, and that's all there is to it. Okay. Now then, the system, it's straightforward. Okay. What's killing us is that it's something new, and sometimes things that we don't understand because they're new are intimidating. There's nothing to be intimidated by. This is straightforward. It's easy. Let's do it. Okay? First, we need a bit of clarity. Let's get some clarity about, for example, the way that they're bolted in. There are dozens of different kinds of starters for these classic British cars. And this one here, you see there's a bolt and a bolt. Okay? This is the replacement. A bolt and a bolt. Again, it's the same thing. With rare exception, they're almost always just like that. That makes the mechanical part of this job easy. If you've ever done it, you've done it. That's all there is to it. Now, they all have one fat power cable too. This is a battery cable, and on this old starter, it would have gone right on here like that, and that's where she got her power. On this new high torque starter, it goes on this one. In fact, let's take a second to put it on. Okay, we're going to put it on like that, bring it down, and we might as well do some of the work while we're here. Why put it off till tomorrow? Okay, now then. They also may have small wires. Some of these starters have 2 small wires, some had 1 small wire, some had no small wires. Okay, so let's start with a starter that has just 1 small wire. We'll pretend that we're replacing a starter that had 1 small wire or 1 cable. So here it is, we've bolted it in. We're going to take and we're going to put a plug. It comes with a small plug, and the plug goes in right here. She's in place. I'm going to ask you to ignore this red wire for a moment. I'm going to explain that in a minute. This is all in place. The cable's connected. She's bolted up to where she needs to be bolted. I have 1 wire hanging down from under the car to go to the starter. I have 1 wire from here. Put these together, and it's all taken care of. Now, you might get a starter which has 2 wires coming out of this plug. That's for later versions of the same car, but they use the same plug for both. And you say, well, which one am I going to use? If I've got a wire coming down from my car, which one do I connect it to? It's easy. This is just a piece of wire. This piece of wire has a diode in the middle of it. The one with the diode is for the later model cars. So if you only have 1 wire coming down to feed it, feed this one. Take this one, tape the end off so she can't get in trouble, and just get her out of your way. You don't need to do anything with it. Now, if the car has 2 small wires, okay, what that means is we have a cable like you see here, and the old starter would have had 2 small wires. There's 2 small wires hanging down to go to the 2 that this one's ready to deal with. And somebody's saying, well, how do I know which wire goes where? Let me share a secret. You want to go and look under the hood for your ignition coil. You know what they all look, we all know what they look like. And this one here has a little plus mark beside it. car with two wires coming down to the starter will have a plus and a minus. Take a look at the plus, and there's going to be two wires on there. Take note of the color. Okay? Now, that wire goes down to the starter. So I'm going to go down. I've got two wires hanging down here, wipe the dirt off of them, and the one with the color that matches up to the coil, that's where that goes. That's where this one with the diode goes. So we connect this one up to the one that goes to the coil. That's all taken care of. And we're back where we were a minute ago. We have one wire here and one more wire coming down from the car. Take care of it, and we're all taken care of. Now, the rare event is once in a while we'll get a starter that has no small wires. This starter had a solenoid that was up on the fender or up on the wall of the firewall, and therefore did not have anything down here except the actual starter itself. This starter has a solenoid. This is the motor, this is the solenoid, and she needs power. So what are we going to do if I don't have any small wires to deal with that? Here's what we do. We're going to take and we're going to remove the cable from the battery. Again, easy. Most of us have got a little eyelet in the garage and a little box. We keep that sort of thing. I'm going to put this on here, clean the end, crimp it to make sure I've got the contact that I need. Put this back on. I'm going to put my nut back on like this. And we're done. Now, when we turn on the key upstairs and power comes down this cable, it goes to this wire right here, which goes around and feeds the solenoid. It's all taken care of. It's just that easy. Okay? Just like the rest of the job, this is easy. So if your starter is tired, if it's time for a change, a high torque starter will probably be a good choice. It's smaller, it's lighter, more torque, more power, easier starts. And this is a way to take a key component from our classic British car and bring it up to the 21st century. Thank you.